Welcome, everybody, to the Michigan Trails Report podcast for the month of May 2024. I am your host, Tom Funk. And in case you are new or just forgot, I am the author of 50 Hikes in Michigan's Upper Peninsula and 50 Hikes on the North Country Trail. And I also like to chime in once in a while, provide content on your various Facebook hiking group pages. Once a month, we talk about the current status of Michigan trails, trail magic, hiker trash, and even give you a heads up on trail conditions and the status of the various reservation systems that we all use, like recreation.gov. Rest of the month, I typically post a chapter for one of my books, give you a travel narrative on one of my hikes, share the details of a historical trail, plus every once in a while I'll share the biography of a famous outdoor person that is from the Great Lakes or has traveled through changing the course of history through hiking and exploration. So just go to the table of contents of the podcast and you'll see gobs of content. And with that, let's talk trails. But before we do, let's thank our sponsor, Nortive 8, which is the maker of affordable hiking footwear. No flash, no bling, no fancy names. Footwear at a fair price. Nortive8.com. All right, Trail of the Week. Hey, we haven't done a North Country Trail segment in a while, so let's do one. And I want to tell you, we have some big news about the North Country Trail in the state of Michigan, in the Western Upper Peninsula anyways. It's always a good day when a large chunk of the North Country Trail is moved from a road walk and into the woods. And in this case, for a segment in the Peter Wolf chapter, they've been working on this segment for years and years. This segment has kept a lot of us from doing a longer trek, because this is kind of a pretty big gap in the trail, and it is between US 41 and Craig Lake State Park. A lot of people start at US 41, hike west. A lot of people start about Craig Lake State Park and hike east. Yours truly, I hiked through on the highways way back in the day. So, you used to have to hike gravel roads and even portions of the highway to connect these two segments of trail. So, starting at the roadside parking for Canyon Falls, head east 20 miles. That's a 20-mile reroute. This is awesome, you guys. So the trail, it now goes through private timberlands, and I'm sure there are some sort of agreements that were put in place to allow us to hike on this property. Best part, dispersed camping is allowed. I have a podcast from the chapter in my North Country Trail hiking guide, and I go into the gory details of how you get there and how you move through it. So I'm not going to go into great depth about this particular segment today, because I'm encouraging you guys to, head on over to the podcast list and look for the trail segment between US 41 and Craig Lake State Park to get the gory details. All right. I can't believe I still have this in the trail report, and that is the snow report segment. I did post a snow report on the Facebook page last week. Yes, I did. Go and look. That's all I'm going to say about that for right now. Bug report. And with all the crappy weather we've been having, I'm only seeing the occasional tick report. Although occasional, the number of ticks hikers are finding are, surprising. And this could be a bad year, especially having such a mild winter. I also did see that Michigan Tech University is actually doing a tick survey. Head on over to the Facebook page to learn more about, picking up ticks. Probably sounds like you're going to send them in an envelope or a vial or something to them so they could do a study. Probably going to look for those nasty diseases that they pick up. So from the Upper Peninsula, I haven't seen any reports of black flies or mosquitoes as of yet. Of course, I encourage you to go over to my YouTube channel and learn the differences between black flies, mosquitoes, and oceums. There is a great tutorial on that. North Country Trail conditions. That bridge at Bush Creek is still out in the Trap Hills, and it is a water crossing. I haven't heard anything about them fixing or repairing that bridge. And we have our perpetual warning on the Victoria Dam and using the detour if water is being released, especially this time of year with all the runoff. Call UPCO, that is Upper Peninsula Power Company, for details. And hey, if you hear a siren when you're about to cross, please reconsider. The North Country Trail between US 131 and M32, there is a timber sale going on. It's causing some consternation. The trail may be hard to follow. That is actually a nice little sweet segment between the two highways. So be sure to check on the North Country Trail website for current and updated trail closure information. Hey, we all bitch and moan when we notice our favorite campground is falling apart. And we also bitch and moan when our favorite campground or trail is closed for upgrades and repairs. I've been peeking at the closure list on MDNR website, and usually there's not very much going on there. But there are a ton of them this year. The DNR came into some money and are doing a ton of work in their park. So we're just going to have to deal with it. I'm going to run through this list pretty quickly. Craig Lake State Park is closed until late May, possibly into mid-June. It looks like the farthest out that they'll close the park is June 17th. Tequamanon Falls State Park, they are still replacing toilet and shower buildings. It will be closed. The Hemlock Loop will be closed from May 1st to at least July 1st. So the Portage Loop is now reopened, but will close again in September through Memorial Day weekend the next year for electrical upgrades. So keep in mind the Rivermouth campgrounds are open all of 2024. And those are pretty nice ones anyway. So Fort Custer Recreation Area Minor Campground closed until the 31st of July. Algonac State Park's day use and campground spring and summer closures. There's trail section closed indefinitely on the Au River Trail. Let's see. Getting close to the end for Brighton Recreation Area, Bishop Lake Modern Campground, Shelters, and Equestrian Campground, which is, take that back. They're going to close in August of this year and goes through May of next year. Hartwick Pines. The Modern Campground is closed through the end of the 2024 camping season. Indian Lake has some campground closures, mostly along the lake. They're temporarily closed. Waterloo Recreation Area, Sugarloaf, and Portage Lake campgrounds closures will begin in August of September. Yankee Springs, another really big Southwest Michigan state park. Day use beach house, picnic shelters, campground closed for the 2021 season. Interlochen State Park's day use and campground Springer have also spring closures. Young State Park's modern campground closed through late summer. Wow, man, this list keeps going. Seven Lake State Park modern campground closures starting right now through the end of the year. Port Crescent State Park campground beach house also has some closures. Check their website. And Metamore Hadley Recreation Area closings at day use area and modern campground now through July. And McLean State Park in the Keweenaw campground is going to close August 1st for the remainder of the 2024 season. So one more time. Yeah, I know. But, these things have to be done. So just, if you're going to be camping at a state park, the MDNR reservation page is really good at showing you what is available. Another closure is the Indian Trail up at Sleeping Bear Dunes is having an invasive species problem, and it's going to be closed for a while this summer. I had somebody reach out to me and said, "Hey, I heard the whole national park is closed." Well, no, they don't do that. Then I thought about COVID, but that's a whole other story. Moving on, Gearhead. I posted on the Facebook page, Gear Junkie's best water filters of 2024. Yeah, guess who again? Sawyer Squeeze, best overall. Then Live Straw for best value. Big surprise, huh? And for you crazy ultralighters, the best tablet is Katahdin Micro Pure. Post the link on the Facebook page. Head on over there and check out all of the types of water filters are out there. Uh-oh. Hey, since this past fall, I don't know if you've known, but I'm going to tell you, I've been struggling with knee pain, and I finally broke down and went to see an orthopedic doctor. He said, and I quote, "You have the knees of a 70-year-old man." And he asked what traumatic act caused such problems. I then told him, "Hey, I'm an avid hiker who loves to backpack." Well, he wasn't believing me. He was having none of it, and pointing out that, "Hey, dude, you're on the heavy side, and I just don't. You just don't look like a hiker to me." And I responded, "Well, that's because my knee hurts, and I can't click off more than a couple of miles or do a rough hike on, like rocks and rough terrain and climbing and stuff." So he was still casting a look of doubt. So I said, "Hey, Google my name." And he goes, "Holy smokes, that is you?" He's looking at the photos on the website and then looking at me. "You've written 2 hiking guidebooks? You've hiked over 2,000 miles of this North Country Trail?" I'm like, yes, sir, I have. He does this, and he turns his computer, and it was a picture of me scrambling up some hill in Minnesota. I'm like, wow, if you post a photo on the internet, it's out there forever, right? So he changed his perspective at that point, and he says, "You know what? I was going to do a more invasive, permanent solution. Instead, let's do a quality of life improvement. So less invasive, so I can continue to pursue hiking." So last week, he shaved down my meniscus in my right knee, and this should eliminate the pain within a month, and I should be able to crank out more miles more frequently than I currently do. So that's a good thing. But as we all know, everything comes with a trade-off. He tells me, "You know what, dude? There's no more 3-week backpacking trips lugging 40 pounds over rough terrain for you. And I also need to quit relying so much on hiking for my exercise because it is hard on my knees." So he told me I'm to take up less impactful exercises like swimming and riding a bike. And as he pointed out, and I never realized this, runners become bicyclists as they destroy their knees over time. Okay, I can kind of see that now. So here is to a new bike and more hiking. All right, I've been posting on the Facebook page our 100-mile hikers. I only had a couple last week, and as I scroll down in my script here, I missed to put their names in here, but there's only like 1 or 2. Here it is. Carol Winkleman. She finished at Timber Creek. So let's give Carol a hand. All right. Congratulations, Carol. Let's see here. I got to hit. Ooh, hey, wildlife sighting. Did you hear about the coyote that was shot near Battle Creek? The one that turned out to be, in fact, a wolf? I posted some articles on this story, and I opined my theory and thoughts on the matter there as well, and of course I'm going to share with you here. Coyote hunting is not all that uncommon in southwest Michigan. And when you're out there looking for a coyote and you shoot what you think is a larger than usual coyote, and then it turns out to be a wolf, what does that mean? Well, first, no hunter would ever think a wolf would be wandering around in these parks, especially when they're so focused on hunting a coyote. So I'm going to cut the guy some slack. Second, a wolf in southern lower Michigan? Seriously, how cool is that? Well, hold that thought. Back in the day, January of 2006 to be exact, when I was working at the Binder Park Zoo in Battle Creek, we actually had a wolf escape the zoo and was wandering the landscape for several months. I was on the search team and I had the opportunity to cruise the landscape following up on leads, including even going up in a helicopter. First, I could tell you there are a lot of coyotes in southwest Michigan. Second, we would get reports of wolves in people's backyards. We would go and kind of peek over the fence, that kind of thing. You would not believe how many wolf hybrids and probably outright wolves that people are keeping as pets in this area. So, just like with all the cougar sightings we had in like the 80s and 90s were released pets, I suspect this wolf was also likely an escaped pet. And this is why. There are a zillion trail cams in our area. Wolves tend to be pack animals. When they are found in areas they're typically not found in, they pop on trail cameras because they're searching out new territory. So, how many trail camera photos have you seen of legitimate wolves on film here in Southwest Michigan? Very few, if any. So, I've seen 2 wolves in my life, and I'm a wildlife biologist. I've spent a lot of time in prime wolf habitat, and I've only seen 2. So, if you see a wolf, it's usually because it's blind luck, not because you're actually looking for one. And I was actively looking for one for a better part of 3 months back in the day. So let's keep that in mind when we are talking about wolves in Southwest Michigan and the fact that there are a lot of coyotes. All right, another trail, and this is part of our Almost Forgotten Trail segment. Have you heard of Father Jacques Marquette? Well, of course you have. How about Father Rene Menard? He was a Roman Catholic Jesuit priest who, in 1660, tagged along with Radisson and Groseilliers as they headed from Montreal to the upper Great Lakes as part of the fur trade. Menard, he was essentially abandoned near Lance, or so most think. Then he wandered into Wisconsin once he found out that there were some starving Hurons deep in the woods. And he set out to find them. How did he find his way? Did he find them? What happened to him? How come we don't hear about him in the annals of history? Well, I have finally put his story to podcast, and we'll be releasing it in a few days. And remember, if you're a subscriber, you'll be notified the moment it is released. And I typically schedule all my podcasts into the future with the notable exception of the Michigan Trails Report. So I record them, I schedule them to be released weeks and sometimes even months in advance. So it helps to be a subscriber because I kind of get around to posting it on social media usually several days or even weeks after it is actually released. So be a subscriber, will ya? All right, trail calendar. You know, it's weird. May is usually a time where there are a ton of hikes that come up and are posted. They're not really putting them in their events tabs and the events pages on the various websites. I am seeing them being posted. And I only had a Trail Angel request. There's a gentleman that's traveling across the Upper Peninsula utilizing his truck and trailer, kind of like what Joan Young did when she was doing the North Country Trail, and he is seeking help usually on the Trail Angels page, and I've seen him post a bunch of stuff in the Hiking Eastern Upper Peninsula page, so check that out. The North Country Trail has a wonderful events page, and I scroll through there, and I only found a handful of hikes there, so sorry, not much detail on that this month. But hey, let's move into the reservation report. Brought to you by MichiganTrailMaps.com. High quality maps of many of your hiking trails like Pictured Rocks, downloadable maps, and books on hiking in Michigan, like mine. MichiganTrailMaps.com. Hey, Pictured Rocks. You know what? Memorial Day, forget about it. Book solid. Look for an alternative place to backpack. Independence Day weekend. And there are no sites left on, I think it's Friday, July 5th. It is booked as well. And it's becoming slim pickings, guys. Starting in mid-July, popular sites are all booked, mostly inland and wireless sites available. Early August, also not even worth bothering. No days are fully booked past Independence weekend, but some are getting very, very close. And, of course, Hurricane 12 Mile, you got to book those 6 months out in advance, and they do release some sites 1 month and 2 weeks out, so better hover. Grand Island, on the recreation.gov Grand Island page, there are Memorial Day weekend is booked. After that, there's plenty of availability. Sylvania is seeing more and more bookings. Memorial Day weekend is booked solid except for the non-reservable sites. So all of this can be found on recreation.gov website. Check it out. Michigan State Park Campgrounds, MIDNRreservations.com. Remember, 6 months out in advance you can book. Chose a random state park, Newaygo. Guess what? Full for Memorial Day. Guess what? Full for Independence Weekend. Backcountry camping sites are open for registration. We got the Porcupine Mountains. Memorial Day weekend, only a few sites left. Making a trip a near impossibility. You better get on it for Independence Week because those are filling up. Craig Lake backcountry sites, still plenty of room there. Tequamanon Falls State Park, you have to make reservations there. This is long in coming and will make things much easier. So there's only 3 backcountry sites in the park. There are 2 modern campgrounds in the park, all of which need reservations. So there are a few dates that are booked solid, June 21st and June 22nd. If you're considering a through hike, you better get on it because there's going to be days where there are going to be none left. And there's already a bunch of dates in mid-July and August where there's only 1 site left. Isle Royal Ranger, no full dates, but the website wouldn't let me click past June, so I couldn't look at July and August. Isle Royal Queen, brand new reservation page, easy to use. There are becoming more and more dates that are full in June and July and in August. Mondays are especially thin in June and July. Reservations at isleroyal.com. If you're planning a trip, you better make a reservation. Isle Royal Seaplane, you got to submit a request on their website. And if you're considering going to Isle Royal, lodges, or Rock Harbor, or cabins at Wendigo, you're SOL for the year. And our awful weather continues. Tornadoes last week. Rain and storms, and it's going to be up north, Marquette and Grayling. 3 letters. Meh. Mix of rain and sun, unseasonably low temps in the 40s and 50s. Grand Rapids, highs in the 60s and 70s. It's going to be on and off, rain and clearing all week. And, hey, I've been putting more of my 2 books to podcasts. I think I put maybe 8 more on there. So if you subscribe, you'll get notifications. And I'm about ready to finish the Wisconsin segment. Actually, I have finished my Wisconsin segment of the North Country Trail book. I am to Craig Lake State Park, moving my way east across the Upper Peninsula. So next time you travel and you want to hike, just listen to the audio version of a hike in one of my books and take it in and kind of get the details on, what it's going to take to hike the trails in the area. Remember, 50 Hikes in Michigan's Upper Peninsula is the book for the shorter trails, and 50 Hikes on the North Country Trail is for long segments of the North Country Trail. And you can find all this information at tomfunk.net. It's 1 page, everything there, no more clicking through on stuff. It's a pretty cool website. And, of course, my computer is doing its dumb thing again, where it likes to just randomly pick a spot to go in the script. And I've been griping about Google Chrome because they don't support it anymore. And I'm going to continue talking as you listen to my friend Adam Main, who provides the music. Adam is a musician out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. And again, sponsors Norteam 8. And if you haven't already, please click the follow button. And our quote to end the show: our task must be to free ourselves by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature and its beauty. Albert Einstein. All right, thanks for joining us. TomFunk.net. Click and subscribe. Follow this page, and thanks for joining us on Michigan Trails Report. We will see you next month.